So we had an hour with the justice, and the Supreme Court justices rarely give interviews. She did so because she's launching a book tour, but we were able to ask her not just about her book, but about a wide range of topics. Yeah, so when she was nominated, she was viewed by both her supporters and her detractors as someone who was likely to be a reliable conservative vote. And she has voted with conservatives on many issues, including a big one in 2022 when the court's conservative supermajority voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. But she doesn't always vote in lockstep with the court's 5 other conservative justices. And she's gotten some criticism from Trump supporters. She got a lot of that in March when she ruled against the administration on one of its emergency appeals. She said she does not like the term swing vote because she thinks it implies indecisiveness. She and 2 of the court's other conservatives, Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh, they will sometimes side with the court's 3 liberal justices on certain issues. And she's done that, for example, on an air pollution case and on a case related to the prosecution of the January 6th rioters. So she is someone who is looked to as someone who might not always vote a strong conservative way. You know, she certainly still does. Her voting pattern still is overall quite conservative. So the base attacked her after she cast a vote that they didn't like, but they elected her again when she authored a big decision at the end of the last term. This was the decision that made it harder for lower court judges to block the president's policies as they are being challenged in court. Trump was so happy with that decision that he publicly praised her, said she wrote that decision brilliantly. What she told us is that she doesn't listen to either the criticism or the praise. There does seem to be some tension in the comments that the justices are making in their opinions and their dissents, and they always say that their disputes stay on the page, that it's not personal, but there have been some sharp comments in recent months. The Trump administration has made about 24 emergency appeals to the court since Trump came back into office. In most cases, the president is asking the court to let him proceed with a policy change, such as firing federal workers or canceling federal spending, things that lower courts had paused. And he asked the Supreme Court to lift those pauses, and in most cases that they did. Barrett's point to us was that the court is not siding with Trump, the person, but they are applying the law in a neutral way. Those decisions, she said, will now become precedent, for all the presidents who follow Trump, and whether those are Democrat or Republicans. Yeah, so she was very clear in saying that she doesn't think she applies the law any differently because she's a mother or because she's a woman. But she did say that being a mom can give her a perspective on certain issues. And we saw that recently. The court heard a challenge to Texas's age verification requirement for pornographic websites. And during oral arguments, she quickly jumped in to dispute when the attorney who was challenging that process was trying to say that there are other, better workable alternatives. There are other ways that parents can block their children from accessing those sites. And she said, whoa, 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 3 times to interrupt him and talked about how, as a mom, she knows how difficult it can be to keep up with different content filtering, content blocking devices to try to prevent that. That's one reason she wrote the book. She's trying to explain the decision-making process, hoping people will understand the court better. She's writing about how the court decides which cases to take, how she approaches the written briefings and the oral arguments, and then how she applies the law to those legal disputes. She likes to point out that a large share of the decisions the court makes are unanimous, and even those that are divided aren't always divided along ideological lines. But a lot of the big ones, of course, we do see the conservatives on one side and the liberals on the other. And you're right that the public's view of the Supreme Court is close to a 3-decade low.